G'day, Marco Felikvari here, and I'm here with my business partner Rob, and I am very excited with what we've got to offer you here today. I'm excited. NDIS. A lot of people have questions about what NDIS and SDA actually means, and I've got the master right here, and I'm lucky, he's my business partner. And what we have on offer today, and what I want to really show you, is what does an actual NDIS house look like, because we've got a live example right here. So Rob, introduce me to what this property is firstly, and then we talk about what NDIS is all about.
Well, Marco, it's a pleasure. So first and foremost, thank you for tuning in today. So my name is Robert Omahen. We are part of Synergy Housing. So we are an entity established about 2 years ago, predominantly helping people to invest in the NDIS market space. So the NDIS, being a fairly new scheme from the government, has got a lot of opportunity right now for investors.
We're at 31
Seeger Street in Gilman.
Perfect.
So that might be a suburb not many people know where that is, but we are very close to Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide going through a lot of rejuvenation. And so we got...
Especially this suburb here with Gilman, we've got plenty of development going on as we speak. But in terms of the property itself, what have you built?
So what we got here is a very nice single-story, 3-bedroom house. This house is laid out to the disability standard. So what a lot of requirements lead to is the house has to be accessible first and foremost. So what you can see here, it's not really a different type of setup as a normal house. However, we have to provide access for people in wheelchair, and that means that transitions are not there. There's no steps. Wherever you look at this property, you won't see any sort of transitions more than 3 millimeters. So with the entry path, we have incorporated a ramp. So ramps are necessary if you have to transfer from a lower ground to a higher ground. So the maximum we can achieve with a ramp in this case would be 190 millimeters.
Yep.
And that gives you a nice entrance to the front door.
In talking about that, with the house itself, so with this one here, we've got 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 living areas or living spaces for our participants, and then there's a whole lot of features which we'll go through. The block itself, what's the minimum sizing for an NDIS spec home that you can have?
Good question, Marco. So again, because we are in the accessibility space for obviously design criteria, we work on an approximately 10-meter frontage with this property. The reason for that is we have to obviously create minimum 1.2 meters walkways. We have to have an evacuation path to the side of the property. Again, the clearance has to be minimum 1.2 meters. No obstructions there. So we can do with slightly less, but an average block of 300 square meter minimum would be an opportunity to build a 3-bedroom house.
Approximately 10-meter frontage.
10-meter frontage is our suggested, obviously, size.
Yep.
When you look at current subdivisions, any sort of new development like this, you would have a range between 10 to 15-meter frontages. So they would range from 300 square meter blocks, generally 30-meter deep. We have a design that fits this particular block size. So when you come and talk to us, we will actually be able to utilize those designs. You don't have to try and design something custom for your block. So this will save a lot of time and effort when it goes through the council. And then afterwards, we obviously deal with an NDIS auditor. He will ensure that the design and the block configuration work as per to the standards that are dictated by the NDIS.
Perfect. And I guess we've heard, or I've heard, and I'm sure everyone else out there has heard about, specifications or criteria, high physical support, full accessibility, robust. I guess with this property here, what are the qualifications or classifications that you've built this standard to?
Look, we are trying to meet or future-proof your investment in the way that the requirements for the individual disability categories are slightly different. So what we can do is there's 4 main categories, which you obviously mentioned. We cater for 3 of the 4. The one of the a little bit slightly different approaches with the robust category.
The other 3 there, what are they?
So we will obviously ensure that we go from a minimum design level, which is called improved livability, is mainly a sensoric sort of requirement for people that have vision impairment, things like that. So there's some key features which I'll run you through in the house, what they are. We go a step further, which is your fully accessibility. So that generally is what I already mentioned a minute ago about the ramps, the transitions. So that's a minimum requirement. Wide doors, wide hallways, that would be for people in wheelchair. And then on top of that, this is for people who have a high care need, so it's a high physical category. We would actually install structural beams into the bedrooms minimum. We can also do it in the bathrooms. That's obviously not mandatory, but it is in some cases recommended to do that, to later enable people to mount hoists over beds, lift patients out of the beds and transition them either into a wheelchair or in any other sort of care requirement that arises. The other thing with a high physical category that is obviously important, some of these people might need life, obviously have life-threatening issues and would therefore need emergency power supply. In the case there's an outage, we actually provide a backup battery which is mains powered to enable the electricity connection to be still active for minimum 2 hours in the case of power failure. So someone with a breathing machine would then still be able to, virtually as normal, utilize that during that period.
Fantastic. Great piece of information, and really excited to be showing off this home today. One of the key things I think where we really met and we connected was that it's not just about investing, making lots and lots of money in terms of your investment, but it's also, we've got a huge shortage right now for people with disability. We're talking almost 10 years it's going to take for around Australia to actually get to a certain point where we cover everyone's needs in terms of that disability. And so not only are you investing and building in South Australia or Australia across the country, but you're also giving these people a decent life. They're coming from hospitals, they're coming from SEAL homes, they're coming from homes that are not equipped for them at all, and you're now finally giving them a piece of life they haven't been able to see before. And I think what we're talking about before was that if we could just help our investors, but also our community as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic cause, and that's why I'm really pumped up about it. But why don't we have a look around the home? We'll discuss it as we go through on what this all means.
Wonderful.
And then I'll meet you at the back, Rob.
Fantastic. How about that? So the house is actually equipped with an automated keypad operated door, allowing people in a wheelchair to simply enter through the automated door. This particular hallway is very wide. The minimum acceptable size for an accessible house is 1.2 meters between the skirting board to the other side of the skirting board. And the doors, as you can see, are also a lot wider than the doors in a normal house. You're looking at about 200 millimeter extra. They are 1020 millimeters as opposed to 820. So let's show you a little bit more throughout.
Well, Rob, this is what I like to call the 80% room, because this is where our wonderful clients are going to spend probably 80% of their time. And of course, the kitchen, the living area. Let's explain it a little bit. What do you think, Rob?
So I guess the real important thing is in a house like this that you have a nice open plan area. So number one point to mention is the kitchen is some sort of L-shaped arrangement, so it will allow people to move freely around the spaces. So at this stage there's no further furniture in the house. Obviously that will come when the tenants finally move in. But these three zones for this open plan living area comprising of a fully accessible kitchen, a dining nook area, and also your lounge and outdoor space further down the track.
Nice and open plan as well. And I think one of the interesting things, a lot of questions that I get from investors, Marco, we're going to build this NDIS home and it's going to be equipped for disabled people and so on and so forth. It's going to be a specialist home. How am I going to resell it? And as you can see right here, it doesn't look anything different from pretty much a normal home. So I think that's something that I really want to raise with you. And that's the genius of your designs, is that the fact that these homes, once you've finished using them as NDIS, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years time, these homes are ready to go as a normal residential property, because that's the floor plan.
Absolutely. So what we have actually really tried to do is keep it as close to a standard house as possible. We are guided by some of the principles with the code. Number one, to point out, we use a timber look lino tile on the floor with a slip resistancy of P3 minimum. So this gives you a nice warm look, but it's very easy to keep clean. In case of damage, you can pull up individual planks and replace them very easily. So this will last a very long time. Even when the NDIS scheme finishes eventually, you will be able to just resurface the floor in case.
The key thing is for our investors is that minimum changeover cost. Again, that's what we're trying. We're trying to put as much money in your pocket as possible, and that's where we've already thought it all out. And minimum changeover cost, I think, is key. So well done, Rob. It's fantastic. I love
Definitely.
it.
Color scheme always neutral. We don't want to date the place. I tell you just quickly, briefly, what is important in an accessible kitchen. So number one, we have a movable benchtop area. So someone in a wheelchair, Marco, you can obviously point out where that is. Someone in a wheelchair can actually get under and then adjust with the electrical push buttons to move the benchtop up or down for the exact fit where they need it.
Same with the...
We have also in this house a side hinged oven. The reason for that is you can access with your wheelchair and you actually stand or you are placed right in front of the entry. So it's not dangerous to move hot or any food out of the oven. Then you have your drawer type style dishwasher. Look, again, for me, that is a real feature. You only see that usually in upmarket houses, but it is an accessibility requirement. And then lastly, the sink and the tapware look potentially a little bit out of place compared to your normal used setup, but this is mandatory. So any tapware has to be within 300 millimeter from the face of the benchtop for someone in a wheelchair to access, open the tap and close it safely and easily. One last thing I would like to point out, it is a must. We have to provide a pull-out pantry, and again, that is something you see generally in a high-end kitchen. This comes with the package and is part of the whole.
I love it. The fixtures and fittings are definitely at another level. I always tend to find your homes that are built in residential areas and obviously lower socio-economic areas or what have you. They always just go the minimum basic stuff. When they're building these homes. This house here is 180 square meters. It's got a lot of these upgraded features. You know, you've got full electronics throughout the home, full automation throughout the home, 2.7 meter ceilings, ducted air conditioning, solar, all these features. And our clients, I'd say once they walk in here, their life is much easier than living in a hospital or living in a subservient house or something like that.
Yes, it's for a good cause. At the same time, it's been a very smart investment right now, and the government has flagged this as an area where they need investors to spend money and build houses. So here we are. This is a participant's bedroom. So first and foremost, the thing that is straight away coming to attention, this room is a very generous size. So we're looking at over 4 meters by almost 4 meters in width, giving obviously your wheelchair access, having the space to move around the bed. So generally we would have a minimum size double bed for the participant. On the face of the bed, you always have the support power, 2 power points with the notification here, there through your power backup run by the battery in the garage. The bedroom always also have provision for electrifying of blinds. So the NDIS require us to put power points above the windows as well as power points above the door. So in severe cases, if the tenant requires the automation of the door, we don't only have the opportunity to automate the front door, we can do that throughout the house. Another important feature for these bedrooms is your fixed intercom, which is also accessible through your app on the phone. So from this intercom, any bedroom can call the carer's bedroom at the front, or connect to the lounge areas, or even see what is happening at the doorbell. So enable the participant to operate that either from their phone or from here. So I take you a step further. These rooms got built-in robes. They come standard with the property. Coming through into the bathrooms. So they are a generous wide bathroom, over 2 meters in width and a length of over 3 meters here. The shower cubicle is a generous 1100. We have the browse on the wall that allows people to take it off, shower themselves easily. We also provide an ambulance toilet with a color coordinated seat. Again, that provides the safeguarding for the improved livability category when someone is vision impaired. Also, we have a wall-mounted sink that is actually fitted against the wall. So again, you will be able to access the sink with your wheelchair.
Well, Rob, we've been through the property now. We've given quite a lot of detail on what the actual NDIS or SDA home actually looks like and what a home it is. I guess a lot of my clients say, you know, Marco, building this home, you know, it's going to be costing a little bit more, but you can see quite clearly why it's going to cost you more, because it's a higher spec home. It's a higher spec home. But I guess let's get down to the brass tacks, the details our investors really want to know. So this home here, let me sum it up: 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 1 car garage, 300 square meters, 10 meter frontage. In terms of the participants, let's break down those numbers. What does that look like for us?
Definitely. So I guess depending on the category of a participant, there's a slight variation from each case. But with the 3 categories that we're targeting here, so you'll be looking at per participant, that's per bedroom, the NDIS paying up to $85,000 per year.
That's
in the
per room?
Per room in the new pricing that was released on the 1st of July. So this has gone up by quite a lot.
How long does that stay for? Is it 1 year, just 1 year?
So generally the NDIS will review the pricing every year, and they also actually provide indexation to the rent pricing, which means every year when the CPI increases, there's always going to be a rent increase. So from the 1st of July, a new price guide will come into effect, and that generally sees an increase, or has actually seen increases for the last few years.
Now, bearing in mind that each area of South Australia, whether it's the city, north, east, south, west, the metro sections, or the outer areas such as the outback or even the regional sections, they do carry different numbers for those participants. But in the west here, currently we're talking 85,000 per participant, so we're looking at mathematics is 170.
170.
Yeah.
And there's obviously another part that the NDIS allow investors to claim. So we're actually entitled to also charge the tenant an additional 25% of their disability support pension, the Commonwealth rent allowance, and also the Commonwealth utility allowance can be charged on top of the NDIS rate.
So this property here, in a perfect world, what would be the final numbers for 1 year's worth of rent?
So in this particular area, the property could generate a total income, gross income of up to $187,000 per year, which in comparison with a normal...
That's unreal.
It is unreal. With a normal residential property in this locality, you'll be looking at a weekly figure of around $650 to $700. So we're talking up to about $35,000 for a normal residential house.
Correct.
But the NDIS, being this huge shortage in available SDA houses, they are heavily encouraging the investors to come into the market and provide and start building those properties.
I guess that's the thing that I get a lot, and we've been working together for quite a while now, and I get a lot of the clients saying to me, Marco, this seems too good to be true. It seems too good to be true. What's your answer to that?
Look, it obviously seems that way, but in this respect, it is what we are currently facing. There is not just in the disability space, there is a real lack of rental opportunities out there in the market, and having a disability, you're actually even more disadvantaged in that respect.
Right.
So the government had to come up with a solution to heavily incentivize the investors to pay for the NDIS obviously generation of new housing and new stock being built at a faster rate than it had happened in the last 5 years. So we are now seeing this high increase. The numbers are actually available on the internet from the NDIS website.
Absolutely.
And we will quite happily send you copies
Absolutely.
of those price tariffs.
So on the NDIS website itself, it shows you the pricing structures. You've got the spreadsheets there. Each and every single year they release the documentation in terms of forecasting on what they're planning to do. And with participants right now, like we mentioned before, there's a massive shortage for people out there, and they're currently in substandard homes and locations. They can't really live their lives in a normal kind of standard. So right now the government is putting out lots of money out there for private investors to build a home like this, to work with people like us to help people to actually get into homes like this that are very much disadvantaged and feel like they're actually part of a community and not in a nursing home or not in a hospital or any of those kind of bits and pieces. So I guess for me, this is why I love this project, is that we've got a home that's in fantastic quality, great standard, high spec. We've got it in a community where it's surrounded by, not everyone's disabled, they're part of a community. They feel a little bit more normal rather than being in a hospital or anything like that. The investor themselves has got the feel-good factor because they're actually helping people out, they're helping their fellow man out that are disadvantaged. And finally, the government is paying you and incentivizing you heavily to actually do all of this. So it does sometimes seems too good to be true, but all we're doing is just following the government guidelines, and that's where we find that we can actually take advantage of this incentive. And I guess, Rob, we've got experience now. We're happy to share. We would love to talk to you if you are interested in any of this space. We're all about just sharing information, and if it is the correct financial vehicle for you, then let us help you.
Yeah, please. Thank you so much for listening in, and we see you soon.
Take care. Talk soon.